All right, everyone, welcome into another episode where we make you money. Going into a week 14. This is actually a good slate. As far as I left on loop. As far as slates go, with this in this quarterback economy, this is a pretty decent slate because at least you have two just money fucking games. In obviously Cowboys, Eagles, and then Bills, Chiefs. Let's start though.
I'd say 3. I'd throw Niners, Seahawks in there.
Oh, Niners, Seahawks. I mean, look, there's a lot that I like. I mean, I personally like the Broncos, Chargers. A lot of these games, I would be happy to put in my quad box most weeks.
The afternoon games are really good, actually.
Sup, Graves?
Between those two and then Raiders, there's definitely a lot of West Coast bias here, but Raiders, Vikings, I think is a good game.
Oh, yeah.
And then Broncos.
This is an
Chargers,
elite. This is elite. This is absolutely an elite slate.
There's 4 afternoon games. I'll take it. And
there's 2 simultaneous Monday night games. It's like the first ever like YouTube TV Monday flex. Like we just get to have both games right by each other.
And they start at the same time too, usually like an hour apart. So
oh yeah.
We're gonna have to battle through tonight.
Well, I can make it more palatable because I'm throwing it out here at the beginning of the podcast because I need more people to give me advice on this because like I think I stumbled into one of the bets of the century, like one of those bets that only comes across, 3 or 4 times in a lifetime. And it's at plus money, plus 105. Now tell me. I already did. I did take field goals plus 125. Tell me. So just as a little opener, so the over-under in this game is 30. Now, in the last 35 years, that's happened twice, where there's been an over-under that's been 30. And 30 is the lowest in the past 35 years. Twice has it happened. One of the games, 13-6. The other game, 7-2. So both went way under. So just that's a little backstory. Now, in the last 3 Patriots games, no team, so not the Patriots nor their opponent, scored 3 times.
Mm-hmm.
Nor the Patriots nor their opponent, neither of them scored 3 times. There is a prop bet out there tonight, and it's not like the Steelers are some high-flying offense. I think they've scored 10 in like 2 out of the last 3 weeks, and they have Mitch Trubisky. There is a prop on my book that is plus 105. If you bet no, neither team will score 3 consecutive times.
Oh, wow.
Again, no, but neither team scored 3 times in the entire fucking game in the past 3 Patriots games. No is plus money. Like neither of these, the over-under is 30. Like I'm trying to envision a world where there isn't a punt or a turnover 3 drives in a row and or a missed field goal. Like there's just so many things that can go wrong.
That's great too, because you're rooting for the shittiness of the game.
You're rooting for the shittiness of the game. Simultaneously, I've plus 125 on the over 3.5 field goals. So if there is a field goal kicked, I will be a little bit, it'll be a little bit of eggs, but also, what do you mean by eggs? There will be a little bit of stress, but then at the same time, it's like, oh, field goal prop. Time to send in the group message. 1, 2, 3. But yeah, I just do not understand this bet. I don't understand it. It's just, I think it's one of those things.
No one's paying attention to that one.
No one's paying attention. It's so hidden. It's like hidden deep in the recesses of the props. And I thought I misread it. And I went over it. I sent it to my legal team. They got back to me.
I bet that's the same. I bet that's like the same odds every week.
No,
bet.
apparently it's normally like plus 170. The no. I
Really?
guess which it also got me thinking like maybe we should add this to the field goal portfolio, like start betting the no on the primetime games.
It's my portfolio.
Yeah, we got. What's the weather in that game? I don't even know what the weather is tonight. Do you have any idea? It's in Pittsburgh. I know that there's some weather. That's another great part about this weekend is that there's weather games.
34 degrees.
Ooh.
Clear. It's going to be a cold one.
It's going to be a cold one.
That helps your bet for sure.
I mean, like I was thinking about just betting like no touchdowns in the game or just like parlaying like all the under touchdowns.
Yeah, no, you're right. This week I did see like a lot of rain and stuff. I feel like the first couple weeks we were really trying to handicap weather and shit.
Yeah.
And it was like 45 degrees and 10-mile-an-hour wind gusts. And it was like, oh, I don't know about this weather.
Dude, but
it was the middle of September, so like that did not matter. But now it's like we're actually seeing heavy rain. And like if you saw in that Green Bay game, like it is cold in some of these games. Like that Green Bay game looked freezing. Like you saw coaches' faces like bright red, tips of noses just like tomatoes. So,
dude, and like the other thing is like now everyone has it used to be like some teams like the Bears would like their practice facility was outside also, so they would just be super acclimated. But now it's like every like winter team has like their own indoor facility and shit. Actually, except
it'd be tough to like sign free agents with that still. Like, come to Chicago, but you have to practice outside in December. I don't know.
Well, yeah, I fucking love this. Like, I think this is because last week was the wonky week. We still both did pretty well with our plays. But I think last week was the wonky week. I think the dogs were barking last week. And I think this week we're going to be able to right the ship. I'm hoping that we are simpatico on a lot of stuff. I am rearing and ready to go.
Was last week really the week of the dogs?
I think I just said after Washington beat Oregon, then I was like, oh man, the dogs are barking this week. And then,
I don't think it was. I think this week's the week of the dogs.
Bama, Washington, FSU.
I'm so glad that nightmare is over. That was a sports storyline or incident that literally took over your whole entire Twitter feed. It was the only thing on there. Which I did want at first. Like that night I was looking for it, like almost looking for it too much. Like I was searching like FSU playoff berth.
Yeah.
But then it's like those tweets just like trickle the next day. It's like the 16 hours ago, 14 hours ago, stuff like that. And it's like that lasted so long. And then the post too, because when it was announced, I was over it. I was like, thank you. I wanted this. But then just like the next 2 days was just all about it. I was like, cry me a river. Like we're moving on. I needed an NFL game so badly, like just to end that BS. And here we are.
Oh, and they got fucked too. Like they're gonna play Georgia and get shit canned, and then they're never gonna be able to like.
Yeah, they're 2 touchdown dogs against the dogs.
They're barking. Wait, what other dogs won this? Oh well, the Cardinals. Cardinals money line were some hungry dogs. Packers were some hungry dogs.
Yeah.
Who else?
Like everyone thought the Jets was gonna do it, or the Commanders. Those both didn't work out. The Rams, I'd say it was like 50% dogs.
Yeah, there was at least a sprinkling of dogs. You know, I think it was just in such the Bengals. It was in such stark contrast to all the favorites winning big Thanksgiving week. Mm-hmm. So it made it seem a little bit more barky. But all right, let's get into this. I'm going in order. I wrote them down in order of how I saw them on ESPN.com. Now, again, we'll do the thing. If we don't really have any thoughts, either of us, then we can just move on. I'm starting with a game that I have no notes on. Falcons -2.5 home versus the Bucks.
Whew.
I have no place.
Yeah. This is so we are looking for somewhat of clarity in the NFC South. and I think we're going to get the opposite. So right now the Falcons are 6-6, the Bucks are 5-7. This would separate the Falcons in this division, like make it clear, but because the Saints are also 5-7 and they play the Lions this week, I think.
Yeah.
Or no, they play the Panthers. Yeah.
Oh yeah, Panthers. Different cats.
I think you have a Bucks team fighting for their playoff lives. And I think the one thing that scares me is Ritter at home, but Arthur Smith as a favorite is terrible. This game is going to be pretty much a coin flip, I would say, but I do like this division to get completely chaotic. And like I said, like last week, I think this division is going to come down to the last game, last week of the year. I don't think there's going to be any separation in this division. And for that, I'm going to go with the Bucks on the money line.
So this is one of your firm bets.
This was my 6th.
Okay, this was your 6th. So I'm pretty similar where like I have 5 that I love. And then like 6, it's like I still, you know what I would say about this game? I don't really have a feel either way. I would feel pretty comfortable getting the Bucks in on a 6-point teaser. I don't see the Falcons blowing anybody out.
And I'm
you
just
get them up to 8.5.
Better quarterback in this game too. Like Ritter's been looking worse. He's trending downwards. Baker, as much as people want to hate on him, he
might be a little injured. That's
yeah. Who isn't in week 14 though?
Facts.
So I like the Bucks here.
Okay. All right. I accept that. All right. This next game, I'm pretty sure I know the way you'll be leaning or liking. This is Bengals -1.5 at home versus the Colts. There's going to be a little bit of weather in this game, although it's starting to look a little better. So I'm guessing you're going to ride with Minshew and the boys.
Oh, this has been harder to do with them.
I know, dude. And Browning just looked pretty damn good. He's been like pretty good. And like I guess the big change for him, like the last 2 weeks, is that his like ADOT is way lower. So basically it's like 3-yard passes and they're just getting the ball into the hands of playmakers. And it's just a pretty smart thing to do when you're the Bengals and you have Jamar Chase and those boys. That seems like a pretty good strategy and like kind of a weather game. I don't know. Again, this is like maybe I'd tease the Colts up to the 8.5. Feel pretty comfortable with that.
Yeah, so like the first game he came in, went like 8 for 14, and then he went 21 for 26, and then exploded last week. I don't think there's any way a quarterback comes in or just like from what we've seen and just completes like over 80% of his passes 3 weeks in a row. Like I think he's going to come back down to earth. That's my handicap in this game. That's where I'm leaning towards. I don't think I like the one. So this is where I was going back and forth. The Colts D scares me. The Bengals D is worse.
Yeah.
And then Taylor being out, like, yeah, that has significance, but Zach Moss is still almost comparable to Taylor. Not all the way there. I understand that. But I'm kind of looking at the Colts as like this team of destiny where they are just finding a way to win football games. And no matter how sloppy and ugly it looks, but in this quarterback economy, as you would say, like that's all you really need is a little bit above a serviceable quarterback. And I just think Browning comes back to life. He doesn't go 30, whatever he went, 32 for 37. And I do think this is going to be a super high scoring game, though. Like, I love the over in this game.
I like the over in this game, too.
I think it's going to be kind of a shootout. And Gardner Minshew in these shootouts tends to, like, when he loses games, it's like a sloppy mess. Like 4 picks, like can't move the ball down the field. I think they win in another just nail biter thriller. And I think Minshew pulls through and they win this game. Yeah,
I like it. I mean, dude, are the Colts going to come out of nowhere and like win the division? Like what are the odds on that?
Possible.
It's like it is possible. It actually is possible.
Yeah, because they're 1 game back, right? them and the Texans are both 7-5, and Jacksonville's 8 Jacksonville's 8-3. I mean, who
Banged
knows with Beathard? Like, we'll get to that later, but add him to the list this year of quarterbacks.
All right.
That graphic they showed on Sunday Night Football was pretty rough of the quarterbacks that have been injured this year.
It's hellacious. Yeah, it's Colts plus 500. I mean, I already have my Texans 7-1, so I shan't. But
I like that more.
It's disgusting. The Chiefs are as big of a favorite to win their division as actually they're the biggest favorite to win their division out of anybody. And this is a down year. Fucking goddamn AFC West always letting us down. All right, next game. This is my second favorite bet of the week. Browns -3 versus the Jaguars. Fucking let me just cook here for a second because I love this bet. All right, so it's gonna be 45 degrees, high 20s wind gust. So this is legit. Rainy, ugly ass weather. You got a team from Florida coming down to Cleveland. Who handles these sort of wind games better than the Browns? And fucking Joe Flacco, by the way. Guy's got an arm. The Jaguars lost. They're under their third string tackle. So that's not good. Their backup just got injured and he's done for the year. Christian Kirk's gone. They have injuries on defense. A very underrated thing is that not only is Trevor Lawrence injured, but CJ Beathard is a little injured. Like his hand's a little fucked up. He like finished the game, but like in a game like this where, you know, I don't know. You could easily see him getting knocked out of the game. And I don't know what their plan is after that. But even let's just say he plays and he's, you know, whatever, he's fine. It's still CJ Beathard. Denzel Ward is probably going to play. He's back at practice. And yeah, you just got to upgrade the Browns for Joe Flacco. Looking good. I mean, compared to like what we have come to expect from DTR and PJ Texas Walker Ranger. Also, just this is going to be a game where it's just running. It's just both. It's going to be trenches game. Both teams are going to be trying to run it. You simply can't run it on the Browns D when the Browns are at home. And we talked about this a little bit last week, but it's like the Browns D's are holding teams to 10.1 points at home versus 30.6 on the road.
On the road.
Yeah. So also it's like a borderline must win for the Browns. Like if they lose this game, like they're going to drop to like well below 50% to make the playoffs. Like this is just one they just absolutely have to have. And yeah, they're going to be the more proficient team in these conditions. So give me everything's pointing towards the Browns. Everything's pointing against the Jags. Give me the fucking Browns.
Yeah, I like the Browns too. What I had down was that same stat you had, 30 points per game, defense-wise, 30 on the road, 10 at home. The one thing is I have the Browns in my 5. But this line and the Chargers Broncos line makes no sense to me. Like this should be like, I thought this would be like 5.
Oh yeah.
And that Chargers minus,
dude, the over under in this game is 31.
Yeah. But like Flacco looks pretty good last week. Like maybe he was just the loosest guy in the world, but still I thought this should be 5. And that made me kind of like rethink this. And then I saw like a lot of the cashes on the Browns, but either way, if I think a spread is going to be that much different than what it is, I have to go with like what side it's going towards. So I like the Browns here. I like that Beathard is a little banged up. I forgot about that. It was weird. Like he was on the sideline, like kind of like wincing in pain. And then all of a sudden, like before overtime, you looked like jacked up and ready to go. I don't know if you ripped a salt or something, but it screams that Cleveland game we saw like against the Niners, just like that kind of weather, that brand of football, just sloppy, just messy ass game. And I think the Browns need this badly to get back on track. Like they were 7-3, they were leading their division. or like co-leaders of the division. And like, this is a perfect spot for them in this weather at home to get back like a solid win and get some confidence back in them. And I think they need it badly. And I think they're up for it. And I don't like the Jags either, like Florida team going into this weather. Like, I know we talk about this weather all the time, but it's different when it's like someone in their division or an East Coast team versus like a team that's practicing in humidity and sunshine all week than going up. Because like teams hate playing in these games that are from like the West Coast or Florida, like going into Cleveland. They hate it. Like, just the idea of going to Cleveland sucks in general, and just this weather makes it worse. So I think the Jags, and you're scared as a team going from whatever we think of Trevor Lawrence, going from Lawrence to Beathard, going against the Cleveland defense at home. Your confidence is shaky, and they're going to make him throw the ball, and I just don't think it's going to end well. So I like the Browns too.
Dude, I actually like I like looking at props in this game. I have no idea what his props are, but like I like taking the under on like everything Beathard, because I saw this guy in San Francisco. He gets like he can't like play a full game of NFL football without getting injured. Like it took him like 2 snaps last game and he got injured. I think there's a really good chance you take the under on all his shit, even take the under on interceptions, and I think it's like likely to hit just because of the flow of the game. But then you just get a free roll of like if he gets injured, then you get hooked and it's over immediately. So I like that. I also like maybe like Browns alt line. Okay, next game, Texans -3.5 at the Jets. I do not have a lean on this game even. Just the Jets are fucking seem to be a dumpster fire. Saleh seems to be on his way out. Rodgers sounds like he wants him out. Quarterback controversies. Zach Wilson doesn't want to play. Saleh's texting people in the New York media and joking about how shitty Zach Wilson is. So it's just, I don't want to bet the Jets, I don't think, for the rest of the season.
I think just because of all that, I like the Texans.
Well, because yeah.
This has just been a nightmare of a week in the media for the Jets. And people say like media, like that's a distraction. Well, when stuff comes out in the media that your team is literally imploding, then I'm going to take it seriously and therefore use it as a handicap for a problem. Like a quarterback literally not wanting to play seems like such a big deal to me. Like of any news, like the media can leak, some of it is just way over exaggerated, but a quarterback literally saying he does not want to play, like, you know, like it's people's dream to start in the NFL as a quarterback. And this guy literally, this could be his last chance to start as a quarterback in the NFL, and he doesn't want to play. And you're still naming him the starter. I just think, and what's going to happen is like, if he throws an early pick, this team might just give up on the guy. Like, don't tell me like Garrett Wilson's happy right now. Like, that whole offense is pissed. Lazard doesn't even catch a ball. I just think, and the Texans, the one thing that scares me a little bit is like they came off a super dramatic win at home, but still like this is the polar opposite of a team that like is so inspired and wants to play so badly for their coach, and then a team that literally does not, a quarterback that does not want to play, and a team that just pretty much officially lost every hope for the playoffs, and I don't think literally want to play football. So I like the Texans here. I think they win by a touchdown.
All right, yeah. I mean, can't really argue with you here. Don't really have a feel on it. I mean, yeah, Jets defense has been good. I would say though, maybe like monitor the live in this game, because I think there's a chance like if the Texans get up, the Jets defense might just quit and this might just turn into a rout. So could be live on the live. Okay. Next game. God, I'm really just kicking myself for not grabbing this earlier in the week, but it's now Ravens -7.5 versus the Rams. At 7, it's just fucking a gorgeous bet. Gorgeous. As of right now, I just hate that it's at 7.5. It's like tease, you know, throw I know you're not supposed to tease down, but like throw the Ravens in all your teasers. This is like, it's a perfect spot. They're off a bye. You know, they smell blood. They taste blood or whatever the hell. Maybe they smell it. They see like the number 1 seed is like wide open, up for grabs in the AFC. And basically, this is like their most kind of gimme of the rest of their year. This game versus the Rams at home. They have, I think they go at 49ers at some point. They go at Dolphins. They play the Jaguars, who are also fighting for the 1 seed. Trevor Lawrence will probably be back. And they play the Steelers. So, and you just never know what the fuck's going to happen in those games. So, like, they need to win this game. They annihilate the NFC. Everybody knows it. Lamar is 18-1 versus the NFC. And the Rams are, frankly, kind of overinflated. Like, yes, it was a nice win last week versus the Browns, but also that game was freaking close. Like, it was basically a tie game at the, with, I don't know, 7 minutes left or 8 minutes left. And then it just kind of got out of hand. Flacco had a bad interception. And then, they beat the Seahawks a couple weeks back, and they shouldn't have beat the Seahawks. And I don't know. And then Arizona, they just own Arizona. So I just think this Rams team's totally overinflated. I still kind of lean, honestly, Ravens -7.5. There is going to be weather in this game, but still, Ravens. So not one of my best bets, but I'm teasing it in everything, and I feel very confident.
Yeah, -6.5 or 7 versus 7.5 is just a whole different world. I don't know. Obviously, points are points, but even just looking at it, it's just daunting. But I do like this matchup for all the reasons you said. I like Ravens off a bye. I mean, you're looking at one of the best teams in football, and like the Rams showed everything they had last week. Like in that win, it was a must-win game. They were 5-6, like huge win for them. And then traveling to Baltimore, and then we have Lamar against NFC teams, which historically has been like routes, because I think you mentioned it last week. It's like you can't in practice on scout team have anyone like Lamar. I think the way that McVay's been winning games recently too is like he's just been outright the better coach, and like that's shown throughout the year. Like he's taken this roster, like it's not a 6-6 roster, but you're going against Harbaugh, so this isn't an out coaching situation. And also with his zone running scheme, like the Ravens can absolutely stop that. And like bringing over Roquan Smith was huge, and I think just having him like ready to stop this Rams run, and if they shut that down, like I'll take the Ravens here with like, I don't think this is like a game where they're gonna let Stafford like tear him up or Puka like tear him up. Like they've had 2 weeks to prepare for this Rams offense, so it's not going to be like an explosion like we've seen before. And I think they roll too. It's a little scarier at 7.5, but I like it.
Yeah, tease and tease away. All right, next game. I don't know if we're gonna have crossfire on this one. I love the Bears at 3.5. Now 3.5 is the line I wrote earlier. I see now on my book it seems to be down to 3, so that would change things. But at 3.5, I love the Bears. Just seems like, well, first of all, we just saw this matchup. The Bears are kind of like a surging 4-8, if that's possible. a surging 4-8. Weather's going to impact.
3.
What?
It's at 3.
Oh, it's at 3.
Yeah.
Okay. That
change?
Yeah. Oh, I'm definitely not going to take it at 3, but at 3.5. Fuck, dude. Well, I mean, it just depends on, I mean, I'm sure you can probably find a 3.5. I don't know. What does it say on, let's see.
I think it just moved to 3.
Yeah, it sounds like it's still on ESPN shit. It says 3.5. Makes it difficult. Let me see if I can find another out that has Bears 3.5 for diving into it. Yeah, I mean, I'll just say, if you can find 3.5, I love it. At 3, I don't want to touch it. But at 3.5, I mean, come on. Lions, they only have 2 guys on defense that have a PFF grade of over 77. One is Hutchinson, and the other is McNeely, and McNeely's out this week. So their defense is just a shiv right now. Yeah. Yeah. That game that they played like a couple weeks ago was like 21-14 Chicago with 3 minutes left. Also, Goff 9-14-1 ATS in the month of December or later outside. This game's going to be played Soldier Field. And the Bears defense is just actually good now. Like, it's enough of a sample size. It's actually a good defense. Like the last 7 games, they're averaging 3 yards per attempt on pass, or 6 yards per pass attempt, which is second in the league over that time period. Oh, also huge thing is that Detroit's defense struggles extra against mobile quarterbacks. And I guess Fields has gone over 100 yards his last 3 games versus Detroit. And in like a kind of a shitty weather game where it's raining and stuff, it's like already negative against Goff. And then Justin Fields, the whole thing he does where it's like one read and then tuck it and run, like that's not optimal. But in like a weather game like this, that's pretty optimal, especially against like the Lions. So I would kind of love all of Fields over props rushing. But again, I would take it at 3.5. At 3, it's gonna be a no bet.
I like it at 3 and 3.5. Like this is such a classic Lions spot. Like somehow being 8-4 against the spread again this year, going against the Bears, who like I hate to like go against you, but you even said it, like a surging 4-8 team. It's like what do we even mean? What do we mean by a surging 4-8 team? Like they're still not good. And only 3 points. And if we're doing 1.5 points in the NFL, you're telling me that the Lions are only 4.5 points better than the Bears. Like, I feel like they kind of proved us last week. Like, they're still a 9-3 football team. Like, they're still a good football team. And a field goal against the Bears seems ridiculous because if anything, this spread should be tighter in that way because it's an in-division game. And like, I don't know, man. This is such a like 75% of the cash is on the Bears. Everyone's talking about how the Bears have a good defense, blah, blah, blah. Like they're still 4-8 and the Lions are favored by a field goal. Like everyone's just talking themselves into the Bears and just like trying to write off this Lions team, whether we're going to talk about that's wins or losses or them against the spread. Like this is such a classic spot where like everyone's against the Lions just because it's the Lions and for no reason at all. And you're getting them against a field goal against the Bears. And they do everything better than the Bears, like on offense, completely.
On offense.
And that's what I'm saying. And like, if you're better than a team on offense by a mile and all you have to do is beat them by a field goal, I'll take that all day. And we said it last week is like this Lions team, all they have to do or what they're going to do when they win games is just score more than 30 points and outscore their opponent. And that's exactly what they'll do this week. They'll score like 33 and win 33, like 24 or something. Like, how many of the Bears really going to score? Like, it is against the Lions defense, but I just think they outscore them and win by a touchdown. And it's like everyone's going to be on the Bears, and I just can't really figure out why. Because they have like a surging defense that's been very spotty all year and going against one of the best offenses. And then the offenses comparing those two is just not even close. So I think they cover like everyone against them again. 8-4 against the spread. Give me them.
Yeah, I mean it is. It opened 4.5. It's been bad. Yeah. Again, I don't know. I like it at 3.5 still, but you definitely can. I mean, it's going to be a no bet at 3. Okay, now on to a game that I don't even care about. Saints minus 4.5 at home versus the Panthers.
Nothing.
Fuck it. All right.
Where do you think the public is here, if you were to guess?
Dude, the Saints are like one of the most bet on teams in the NFL. I would guess probably the Saints.
75% is on the Panthers.
Really?
That just makes me like the Saints, but like, is this a Jameis game or it's like 50-50, right?
Yeah, it's like 50-50.
If this is a Jameis game, it's like I will do the Saints just to do it. because that's just an absolute thrill betting on Jameis. But did you see him last night at the Pelicans game getting like a standing ovation for no reason?
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
I mean, the one thing about the Saints is this is kind of a winner go home game for their season.
Yeah,
Because
they're just so incredibly banged up.
I know, but like Bryce Young going into the Superdome, ooh, that is
How's the crowd
scary.
even gonna be? I just don't know. Like the
It's
crowd's
always
gonna be
for
the
some reason, dude. It's always good, and it will be good for a division game when the back's against the wall. Like the Saints crowd's always good, and I don't know. Bryce Young going in there, Cash being on the Panthers, like overwhelmingly. I'm not like Jameis, I'll for sure do it just because I'll watch it, but it's fishy that this is because this is the first time like I've heard like all week. Like I'm just hearing a lot of Panthers backers. It's like where where did this come from? Like I respect that both of us are like, yeah, we're not touching this. But like for like people to come out and seriously be backing the Panthers is like wild to me. Cause like people didn't back the Panthers when they were like 13-point dogs. And now they're 5-point dogs on the road, and people are all of a sudden Panthers backers. It's like you're rolling the dice, but we'll see. If there's a way, it's Saints, but it's still when there's a stay away game, there's a stay away game, and this is it.
Yeah, this is it. I just don't want that on my TV. Okay, this next game I also love. Vikings laying 3 at the Raiders. Fucking love the Raiders. This I don't understand. Did you want to go first?
Go ahead.
Okay, so the first thing is like Justin Jefferson's back. Vikings are off a bye. So like, yeah, maybe upgrade the Vikings like 1 point for having Justin Jefferson because like, I mean, he's never even played with Dobbs, so there, and also like he could not be 100%. And there's just there's bad vibes going on in Vikings land. So Dobbs, like it was like this great story and whatever, but then over the bye, it's a great example of like I think like Bill Walsh used to always say like you don't take the wide receiver before you have a quarterback because if you do that, then you end up like the Raiders or like the Vikings now, where it's like all of a sudden it gets to be about like placating the wide receiver, and you're like, oh god, we gotta switch to somebody that gets the ball to Devontae Adams, switch to somebody that gets the ball to Justin Jefferson. So, Stefanski said just openly that where did I? Oh yeah, that they're reevaluating the quarterback position, and they said they needed to reevaluate the quarterback position to see who would be better to get the ball to Justin Jefferson. So clearly Jefferson's like bitching, and he's like not sure about Dobbs. The other option is Nick Mullins, and I don't know. It just seems like kind of bizarre that Dobbs is like he kind of had like one bad game, and now they're like ready to like shit can him basically after he like turned around their whole season. So that just doesn't sound good to me. It sounds like not very good continuity within the team. And like I feel like they're pricing this game almost like the Raiders like had their like dream crusher spot where it's like, all right, it was fun, but now it's over. But it's like, no, like this team's still gonna be super motivated. If they beat the Vikings, then I think they play the Chargers. Like they can get back to 500. It's an interim coach. Like motivation shouldn't be an issue. Like dudes are still like playing like to keep their jobs basically. And yeah, so pretty much that's the handicap. I mean, the Raiders have just kind of looked good. I know they ended up losing by a lot to the Chiefs, but still, like they came out, looked good. And the Vikings they should not be laying 3 on the road to a team like the Raiders.
Yeah,
I like the under also.
Both teams off a bye. Am I missing something with the Jefferson thing? It's like he hasn't played a game with Dobbs.
Hasn't played a game.
And he's bitching about potentially not getting the ball like in practice. Like what?
Nick Mullins, bro.
But either way, I watched them like a podcast with Crosby and Jacobs, and like they're still extremely motivated. Like they think they have a chance at the playoffs, whether that is a complete pipe dream or not. Yeah, I saw that and was like, God, this has been the most tumultuous Viking season of all time. Like they started 1-6, got back to 500, and now with a miracle, like a Jeremy Lin run of a quarterback, and he had one bad game, and all of a sudden this is a dumpster fire again. Like it's not good. And I do, like I said with the Jets, I don't like when people don't like the quarterback, because it is the most important position in football. And if your star wide receiver does not have belief in your quarterback, things are not going to go good. And Dobbs is a guy, as we've seen, that's very up and down. And I feel like confidence is a huge thing for him. And when a guy, and this isn't any wide receiver, this is Justin Jefferson barking. Like if he's not happy, then he's going to force it to him, and then he's not going to go through his reads. The Raiders defense has actually been surprisingly good this year. Hobbs is back off the injury report, so they should be good to go. And yeah, I had 3 points at home too. I do like it a lot. I don't think the Vikings are like, I don't think the Vikings are 4.5 to 5 points better than the Raiders at all.
No, plus like last week we were talking about it, like we need the Vikings to lose so that they can fall out of the playoffs for max compellingness.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right, I think we can probably leave that there. Next game, big game, Bills, Chiefs. Chiefs -1.5 versus the Bills. I'm saying lean Bills because honestly, I think that like throw out all other conditions. Like this should be like Chiefs -2.5, Chiefs -3, but this is like basically the Bills' entire season is come down to this one point. It's unfortunate they're catching Kansas City off an embarrassing loss, but like the Bills need to win this game because of how the way the tiebreaker and all that's structured. So it's going to be maximum effort Bills. I already see there's like stuff leaking about Sean McDermott. So it's like kind of that like dirty laundry stuff you start leaking out just to kind of prepare the fans for like getting rid of them sort of shit. But I still think this is going to be maximum effort Bills. It's versus the fucking Chiefs. I like teasing the Chiefs or teasing the Bills up to 8.5 is just a beautiful thing. Also, I like Josh Allen rush yards over because like he doesn't rush as much anymore, but in like games like this, playoff game, basically, he's always down to put his body on the line a little bit more. So those are kind of my plays in this game.
I just like all the money's coming on the Bills, and I thought all the money was going to come in on the Chiefs.
I know, dude.
I understand the backs are against the wall, but like, I mean, at the same time, aren't the Chiefs coming off an embarrassing loss too? Like, but I just can't get over this Chiefs wide receiver thing. It is like such a big problem. It is a big, big problem. So I'm so torn on this game, but everything in the past, besides this year though, tells me Mahomes under a field goal at home is free money. But this year it hasn't. So I'm going back and forth on this game, but it's not in my 5, but I'm going to do it because it's the game of the week. I'm going to go Chiefs just because it's Mahomes under a field goal at home.
I dig it. I respect that. It's probably like the responsible play, honestly. But I do feel like I just don't think that the Chiefs are going to blow them out. I don't think there's any chance. So
I just feel like an idiot going the other way and feeling like Mahomes -1.5 at home just seems crazy, but that's just how they are this year. Like the line is, it's very like evident that the Chiefs aren't that good.
No. And like, think about this. How does this lose? Chiefs +8.5 or Bills +8.5, Ravens -1.
I would be comfortable going and doing the cardinal sin and going the other way and getting Chiefs at plus money.
Ooh. Whoosh.
Like the Chiefs aren't going to get blown out at home.
Yeah, I guess that's probably true.
I'd be more comfortable with the Chiefs not getting blown out than the Bills.
Yeah, you could do like an 8.5 and get it to 7. Or
Yeah.
what is it? 8.5 point teases. I think that's a thing. Um, okay, yeah. I mean, but this game's gonna be awesome to watch.
Yeah.
Um, okay, this is another game that is very tease friendly. This is my number one game of the week. Smelled like a rat the minute I like checked the look ahead lines on Sunday, and it just continued to smell like a rat, and it hasn't budged. Broncos are 3-point underdogs versus the Los Angeles Chargers. Make it make sense. Like, what the fuck?
I can't. What is this?
Excuse me, sir. What is this?
I thought this would be even. Like even odds. Pick them. 3? It's not even budging to 2.5.
Not budging.
Like, ugh. If they price the line differently against the Texans, like the Broncos on the road, but this is just crazy. Like you're telling me this
one could almost say
Bills,
criminal.
You're telling me the Chiefs Bills moved a full point and this can't move a half? Like, where's the money in this game? If the money's on the Chargers, this is free.
Well, so I haven't really run through the whole handicap of the game yet, but
85% of cash and 83% of tickets is on the Broncos. Okay, this moved to 2.5.
Oh, it's to 2.5 now.
Finally.
All right. Well,
still
like it. I still fucking like it. Yeah, I don't. The only thing that like makes any sense to me is like everyone's so like it listens to so much media now, and they're so informed about like the gambling stuff, and it's like these like things get repeated, and then it's like everybody knows them, and it's like one of those things is just like the Broncos have gotten so lucky with turnover luck, blah 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 blah. They're not an overrated team, but then, I mean, how about last week? Like they went 3-0-3 in turnovers, and they still almost won the freaking game versus the Texans on the road. Like that proved I like the Broncos more after last week. I would upgrade the Broncos more after last week. I would certainly downgrade the Chargers. Every single fucking Chargers game comes down to 3 points. So like, it's not like they're going to blow the Broncos out and there's going to be some trouble with Russell Wilson coming back on them. That's not going to happen. The Chargers offense fucking stinks. Herbert just looks frustrated and generally shook. They're averaging 8 points a game last 2 weeks. And, Keenan Allen's banged up. He's their only dude that Herbert trusts. Austin Eckler, I mean, Denver's like run D is like the one downfall of their defense right now. And Austin Eckler it looks completely washed. Like there's reports out of Chargers camp that they're going to split carries with Josh Kelly. Josh Kelly is fucking horrible. Josh Kelly had like back when their offense was still good. Josh Kelly was getting everything and he couldn't, be fantasy viable. So that doesn't make me feel any better. Yeah, I just do not understand it. Eckler is washed. Sucks, dude, that you didn't get the contract because now you're going to be signed on like the vet minimum. So
he looks like Clyde Edwards-Helaire, dude.
Dude, he looks like Clyde Edwards Eclair. Is that the name of that donut thing? Yeah, dude, he looks slow. It's just gross, and it just seems like, I mean, what is the Chargers' motivation here? The Broncos are like very much like they just lost. They need to win this game, stay in the playoff hunt. It just doesn't make any sense to me. The only thing, like Surtain is, got a little banged up, but he's probably going to play. Even if he doesn't play, who gives a shit?
I mean, I just cannot get behind the Chargers here. There's no way.
No.
Like they what am I just gonna watch this team? Like, if we're just taking away betting and spreads and all this, it's like, what am I gonna have confidence after watching this team all year? Be like, I like the Chargers at a field goal.
Yeah,
over
even
the
if we're doing like we're like
pick 'em pool.
Bradshaw and like all of those other boomers that just sit around and just pick the games without the spread. Like
Yeah.
I would still pick the Broncos like to win the fucking game.
Like yeah, if like, because it does make you think differently. Obviously, it's the correct way to think. Obviously,
Yeah.
it's the lines, but still, like, it is a different perspective. So I do think that way. Like sometimes, like, okay, let's just think about this game when it's close, like just straight up, like, because it does make you overthink the spread, obviously, and it's like, I would think the Broncos would be favored by a field goal potentially. Like, that would not shock me. Would that shock you if they were 2.5-point favorites in this game?
No. I mean, what were the Texans?
But think about that. That's a 5-point swing.
Wait, what was the Texans line last week? Were they 3-point favorites?
No, it was like 3.5, 4.
Okay, it was 3.5, 4, but also you got to factor in like the Texans actually have a home field advantage.
I know.
So like they're basically saying like the Texans
that closed
are
at, like,
a worse
4.5.
team. Yeah,
I
they're
think
saying like the Texans are a worse team than the Chargers, basically, or equal.
I think they wanted like a bunch of money to come in on the Chargers or something. Like, I've like went up and down an injury report list and I can't find anything.
I mean, if
It's
this game
like-
was flipped, would you have a play on the Chargers?
No.
I think I would, just because of the narrative of that the Chargers play nothing but 3-point games. But it would be just based off solely off that narrative. It wouldn't be like, oh my God, that's a slam dunk. That's my number one pick. Boom. Like, so yeah, I'd like Broncos at pick 'em. If this was, that's what, so plus 2.5, fuck it. Who cares?
That's what I'm saying. And like, again, us, like, usually if it's a 5-point swing, we wouldn't be like, oh, like that line still makes sense. Like, that'd be like that'd be that Chiefs game being like 6. Be like, oh, we'd be like, no way, I'm on the Bills.
Cowboys minus 8.5.
Yeah, it's like, it makes no goddamn sense. There's no home like crowd here. They have, because like the Chargers is different than the Rams, right? Like the Rams actually have some backing in LA. Like the Chargers have none. It's like
Broncos. It's gonna be shit ton of Broncos fans. Also, it's through the 3, and I would like it. I would like it up through the 3, crossing 0. Like it's basically like I would like it like about 7 points. Is there such thing as a reverse tease? I guess the alternate line, I suppose. Like, should we be taking alternate Broncos?
And the Broncos are the least dinged up team of all time. They have 3 total people on their injury report.
Wait, why am I not teasing the Broncos? Now the Broncos are in teaser country, because now, especially now that they're off the 3, I will be putting them in everything.
Like Bosa's still out, Palmer out. Like,
oh my God,
banged up. Like, this is just, they don't have a receiver to throw to outside of Keenan, and Eckler looks like an RB3.
Darius Guyton, like Quentin Johnston's completely in his own head. He's like Klay Thompson.
Yeah, and like Surtain, since week 3, has been one of the best corners in the NFL. So it's like,
even if Surtain's out,
Keenan under 100 yards, it's like, where do you go on offense?
They
just scored how many points against the Patriots?
I believe that is 2 field goals. Yeah.
What? This is crazy.
This is crazy.
We're all gonna take Broncos, and it's just not gonna hit.
Dude, they scored 6 points, and one of those field goals was off of Bailey Zappi interception in their own territory. So
this makes such little sense that I want to take the Chargers.
I know,
but Galaxy I'm not gonna. That's a sucker way to live your life.
Yeah, gotta just believe. All right, next game is Niners minus 10.5 versus the Seahawks. Open 12.5 down to 10.5. If this was like any other team that was comparable to the Seahawks, I would take the Niners probably, just because they're rolling. But this is just a tough spot. You played them 2 weeks ago and you beat the fuck out of them on Thanksgiving. The Seahawks have 10 days of rest. They are falling out of the playoffs as we speak. They need a W. They have to play the Eagles next week, and then they play somebody else difficult at some point. So, like, I don't know. It just seems like, and also the Niners, like the last time the Niners had that 3-game skid was after the Cowboys, when they beat the fuck out of the Cowboys. Then they were all feeling their shit. Like, yes, like First Take is jerking us off. And then they totally let up for 3 games. They just beat the shit out of the Eagles. They're the week 13 Super Bowl champs, as all the Eagles fans are saying. I don't have enough confidence in the Niners to crush them here.
Ooh, I kind of do. Seattle's been so up and down, and I'm gonna bet on a Geno shit week, and I feel like that's reasonable to do after a really good week.
Yeah,
and then he just faces a Niners D and just gets exposed. It's the one thing I would have loved this if they didn't just smoke him on Thanksgiving. That is but the other thing I thought of though is like that game. It was kind of close for a lot of the game, wasn't it?
Yeah. I can't really even remember.
I'll have to look, but I'm pretty sure it was for a while. And like, and
it's also in Seattle.
What?
That first game.
I thought you meant this game.
It was 7-3 after the first quarter, and then the Niners
opened at what, 12.5?
12.5.
I don't know. Like, all the money's coming in on Seattle. It's been bet down that much. Like, it opened at 12.5, like 10 for the Niners. It's a crazy number. It's a crazy big number for a division game, but the Niners have been so good. And it's like a 10-point spread for them is like a 7-point spread for most teams.
True.
Like, they tend to just pounce when they're up. And like, here's the thing is like, if the Seahawks have these, they cannot have a game where it's like they start slow. Because if you start slow against the Niners, like the Niners will go down and score on their first drive. Like,
yep.
And if they
especially after they didn't versus the Eagles.
Yeah, and if they come out and don't score on their first 2 drives, like this could get ugly quick. And the Niners know like this is the Seahawks. Like they're not going to take the Seahawks lightly. And I like every Debo prop in this game. Like he tends to go nuts versus the Seahawks. I know he's coming off a big game, but I think he keeps it rolling. I don't really want to bet against the Niners here. I think it's a bad idea. Like everything's going against them. Like between cash on the public, like, you know, division game, let's go Seahawks. Last game was kind of a blowout when I don't really think it was. I'm not scared with these big numbers anymore when it's the Niners at all. So
yeah.
I'll take the Niners.
All right. I think it'll probably work out for you. Last game, until we get to the Monday games. I say we save that though. Let's save those for Monday. Cowboys, the boys, laying 3.5 versus the Eagles. You know what? When this first came out at 3, I liked the Cowboys. I thought the line would be 3. It was 3. I told myself Cowboys are going to beat the shit out of the Eagles. As the week's gone on, and it's just gone up to 3.5 and it's hovered at 3.5, I am making this one of my picks. I am going with the Eagles plus 3.5. The first question I have is, how good is this Cowboys defense really? They are very good versus dog shit teams, but like Geno Smith just kind of diced them up last week.
Yep.
Like versus like the good teams, like they've gotten like pretty diced. Total is 53 in this game, which backs that up. Like they think the Eagles are going to fucking put up a bunch of points on them. And although initially I felt like this was the ultimate kitchen sink Cowboys game, it still is like obviously super important, and Dak wants his MVP and all that bullshit, and they could, take the lead in the division or whatever, tied for first. I learned one, I guess if there's a world where the Cowboys could beat the Eagles in this game, and if the Eagles just went out, they would actually win the tiebreaker.
Mm-hmm.
So like, it's not even that like desperate of a situation for the Cowboys. But I actually think this is kind of a low key kitchen sink game for the Eagles, because the Cowboys, let's see what they have coming up, because they are starting their little mini gauntlet. It's just such gauntlet season. So they're going, okay, so they have the Eagles, then they have to go next week is at the Bills, then the week after that is at the Dolphins, the week after that is home Lions, and then finish it out with at Commies. So I just don't think that the Cowboys are versus the Eagles, who like this is like their last difficult game. Like after this, it's well, you could say at Seattle is a somewhat challenging game, but still it's at, I don't know, Seahawks, then Giants, Cardinals, Giants. So I think this is kind of like they know if they beat the Cowboys here in this game, not only will it shut everyone the fuck up, it will also clinch the division for them. Most likely it will clinch them the 1 seed. It almost certainly will clinch them the 1 seed, actually. And also I think there's this narrative of like the gauntlet is like clearly known, but the Eagles quietly, I'd say the start of the gauntlet was that Dolphins game. They had a bye after that game. So they got a bye. And then after that bye, they played the Cowboys at home, the Bills at home, and the Niners at home. Oh, wait, it was, no. It was the Chiefs on the road, then the Bills at home, then the Niners at home. So it's like, it's not like their team is like super banged up. Like they've reasonable rest. Like even though it was the 2 games in 15 days, whatever the fuck it was, like they got a fucking bye. So they're going to be pretty healthy. I don't think Jalen Hurts is any more injured than he was going into that Niners game. And, yeah, I mean, really the only way I can like get to 3.5 on this line is like if Dallas is like the best team in the league. Like, seriously, like this Eagles team has lost 2 games, and sure that last week was what it was, but it was also a terrible, like all-time bad spot for them. Or it's like they're like really there's that much attrition for the Eagles, and I just don't really think there has been. So, also very, very strange sort of thing for you here. So you know how we have in our head that like the week after the Niners, you lose, because that was like a thing for that's
the only thing I had that I was worried about.
Yeah. So there's like that was like 17 games in a row. 8 out of the last 9 ATS losers after playing the Niners have gone on to win the next week.
Okay.
So, and I guess if you actually extrapolate over Shanahan's career, teams are like 63% ATS the week after they play the Niners. I was trying to figure out what the fuck that could be from. The only thing I could really think is like this year, maybe there's some sort of like a humbling effect. Like it's like, because they're shit pumping for the most part, all their wins. Like they haven't like really had a close win. So it's like all these shit pumpings is kind of like a wake up call, maybe like, they shit pumped the Jags, and then the Jags, looked great. And so I'm banking on maybe like a slight humbling for the Eagles, where they're like, all right, we really need to fucking lock in. And yeah, so I like them plus 3.5.
Yeah, that was the only thing I was worried about was that. So I'm glad to hear that. This is just a great spot for the Eagles. Like I think they needed that loss in a lot of ways. Like a humbling, especially with a cocky head coach. Like,
yeah,
like they seemed, and even with the media saying they weren't as good as they were, that is not going to like hit you hard until you actually lose a game. And not only did they lose a game, they got destroyed, embarrassed. And this is an all-time bad Cowboys spot here. Like, this is tees up for the most Cowboys collapse ever.
Oh my God, Dak's gonna fumble away the MVP.
Dude, this is it. Like this, and again, like this is who the Cowboys have beat this year. The Cowboys have beat the Giants, the Jets, the Patriots, the Chargers, the Rams is their best win, the Giants, and the Commanders. They
And
haven't
the Seahawks.
yeah, and they haven't beat anyone.
They haven't beat anyone.
They did, and like 3.5 point favorites against the Eagles. Like, I'm on the Eagles money line here. Like, this is such a bad spot for them. Like, Dak, a big game, and the thing of just like they're good at home, blah blah blah, dude. This Eagles team is better. I think they're better across the. They're more talent. There's a more talented roster across the board. I mean, and we hear about this defense, but it's what we've said all year. They just beat up on bad teams. Like, they're actually going against a hard-nosed physical team, and I just don't think they match up well against that. And the weeks at practice are always better coming off a loss, especially of a loss like that against the Niners. I think they're going to be fully ready to go. And this Eagles team also has a ton of confidence against the Cowboys. And I just think this is just, God, this couldn't be more set up for the Cowboys just to go in I love them as favorites in this game, like just of them collapsing. Like, if this was like Eagles minus because 3 or 4 weeks ago this would have been like Eagles -2 probably. Like, there I'd be like, okay, Cowboys is an underdog at home. Like, everyone thinks the Eagles got this game. Like, the Eagles are a much better team, but this is completely flipped, which is crazy to me. To the Cowboys are more than a field goal better than the Eagles. And now this is flipped to like neutral field. The Cowboys are better than the Eagles. I don't know about that. That's where I look at this game the most, and I'm like, so like we say now it's 1.5. So like, even if it's 2, they're saying that basically that the Eagles or the Cowboys are 2 points better than the Eagles. No, they're not.
No, I mean, I think the Cowboys are like the Dolphins. It's weird because if you name like a shitty team, the Falcons, if the Cowboys were playing the Falcons,
playoff team.
I actually would feel more confident in them. And then let's just say like they were -10 or something.
Mm-hmm.
I would feel more confident that they would be up to the playoff team. I'd feel more confident in them covering that 10 than I would the Eagles.
Yeah.
But similar to like how I would feel more confident in the Dolphins covering that than the Chiefs. But if a game starts to be closer and it's to, it's actually an opponent that can punch back. I think just the closer the game is, the worse it is for Dak. And he's just, dude, he's such a fucking front runner. Like, he loves just knowing that there's no chance the other team can come back and win. Like, it's so nice for him.
And they've gotten so cocky. Like, that went on Thanksgiving over the Commanders, like him just sitting on the sideline eating a turkey leg. I'm just like, bro, you're beating up on the fucking Commanders. Like, it's also Sunday Night Football. The whole fucking world is going to be watching this game of the year, pretty much, if last week wasn't. And like, that was a blowout. So like, this has every potential to be game of the year. Like, he's going to crumble. I just think he's going to crumble. And all it takes for Dak is one early pick to make him look like a completely different quarterback.
Oh
like,
my God. Yeah.
The Eagles and the Eagles secondary also is under so much scrutiny. Like, they still have Bradbury and Slay. Like, I know Bradbury's been completely exposed, but it's still, dude, like,
you know what? You just got it in my head. I like Dak. We should bet Dak to throw a pick because the Eagles defense, it is a shiv. But one of the things I was hearing in that 49ers game, and like I was listening to some Eagles podcast because I'm a fucking masochist and I just love the pain. And they were talking about how, like, at this point, their defense, like, they understand their defense isn't that good. And I guess they were talking to like the coaches or some shit. Report came out that, like, after the Niners game, that like their defense is, they switched like halfway through the game to just trying to like basically gamble on defense, because it's like they know that they're shitty on defense and their secondary shitty. So we might as well gamble, because if you can get a pick or something like that, that can completely change the game. So I think that that's going to happen in this Cowboys game. I think Dak's going to throw a pick, and you're right, that could completely change the whole game. I also like, if you're the Cowboys, like you're feeling great, like maybe on the look ahead to this game, like after you beat Seattle before the Niners had like played the Eagles, and you're like, oh yeah, gee, we're so much better than, like, I actually think we're better than the Eagles, like all this stuff. And it's like, oh, I can't wait till the Eagles come in. But it's like now everyone is like so into betting and all this shit, like that everyone kind of understands already that the Cowboys are now like the heavy favorite in this game. And so now all of a sudden they have to play the psychological, not like, oh, the big bad Eagles are coming in, we're going to show them. Now it's like, all right, fuck, we better not fuck this up, because it's all on a platter for us. And
and even like look at it this way, it's like a game that's in division where like you could make, now like I could make a better argument for the Eagles being better, but even in that case, people flip flop on which team's better. It never gets to over a field goal, if that's the case. If it's a flip flop in division, usually out, even not division, in division makes it closer. And even if it's just a flip flop straight up, getting it to over a field goal is ridiculous. And I think there's more of an argument towards the Eagles are better. And this is just saying, with taking away the 1.5 for being at home, that the Cowboys again are 2 points better than the Eagles. I just do not think that's the case at all. There's no weather here. They're playing in a dome. They're playing on Sunday night. The Eagles have been in this spot too. They've been in a big spot on Sunday night or Monday Night Football, like big game. Like Sirianni now, between last year and all the big games this year, if anything, this gauntlet has prepared them for like these big games and how to prepare throughout the week. And whether they've lost them like last week, that's like a lot of lessons learned. And like there's a lot of lessons learned after last week. And I just think this is such a good spot for them. Like I'm going to sprinkle on the money line too.
I love it. I think like if it's close and the Eagles are down late, I'm definitely going to live bet the Eagles.
Yeah.
So that is all the games we're going to cover. Do you have anything else on tonight's game? I mean, again, repeating, bet of the century. No, there will not be 3 straight scores by either team. Plus 105, complete joke. Yeah,
field goals. And I guess I'm going to take the Steelers.
Yeah, just rip the money line.
Where's the public on this game?
Dude, maybe the surprise over.
80% of cash is on the Patriots.
Dude,
I love the Steelers.
Is TJ Watt playing?
He's not on the injury report.
Oh, then maybe yes, defensive touchdown. Maybe yes, safety.
Steelers field goals. And then I'm going to throw in some sleeper pops.
Yeah, I got to throw in some sleeper pops.
Pops, not props.
Pops, boys. Oh, what happened in the Indiana game?
Ooh, I was just going to look at that.
Halliburton. Oh, dude, Halliburton is so elite. It's crazy. I feel like I feel like he's having his like Steph in the Garden moment right now.
15 assists.
Bro, he averaged like his lines are crazy.
27, 7, and 15.
Dude, yeah.
Dude, did you see how crazy? I think I sent it to you, like how crazy their bench was going, like off that game-winning dunk. Because like they have 7 guys under $3 million contracts, and like if you win it, you get $500K per player. And they have
sick.
They have like 3 guys on 2-way contracts. It's like they're going fucking nuts. Dude. And it's hilarious too. It's like I like how this in-season tournament matters too, because like before this game they're 11-8, and like they're literally just these games playing for their lives, dude. What's the odds on like whoever wins this shit like partying in Vegas? They're gonna blow that 500K in one night. First of all,
Oh yeah.
like, did you see they
Just in
asked
Ubers.
Zion and Bi about it?
No.
They were just like, what would the celebration be like in Vegas? They both just looked at each other and just started dying laughing in a press conference.
Oh my God, Zion's dude. Yeah, Zion like might low key like because he played really well in that first game. He might just be like so just fiending to like get the 500K and just go hit the buffets and the strip clubs.
Yeah.
Dude, also this seems like a little bit of a rat line tonight. Lakers minus 2.5.
Yeah, it's
the
fishy.
Lakers are probably gonna win the game. I hate the fact that that LeBron might win it because you know it'll get like Nick Wright will make it the biggest deal of all time to win this stupid cup if they win versus like if the Pacers win it or the Pelicans, like no one's gonna ever give a shit.
Yeah, I kind of like the Pelicans. Like based on the narrative the way this is going, like the Pacers making a run, I think the Pelicans win. But
Sleeper, I'm gonna put everything with LeBron over 3.5 turnovers.
LeBron over
He loves to turn the ball, even in games when he plays well. But it's these like kind of bigger games. He always goes over 3.5 because he's like playing more point, like has the ball in his hands more, and he's just it's no shame in over 3.5. I mean, Steph does it too, like every game.
All right, I'm gonna get ready for this game. I gotta piss my pants too.
Yeah, I'm gonna piss my pants too. All right, later, brah. Later, everyone.